Hi everyone and welcome to my ISC2 Certified in Cybersecurity video series. In this video series we will be diving deep into the ISC2 CC Exam Preparation, breaking down the key concepts and providing in-depth explanation of the questions and answers. I am a cybersecurity professional having about 15 years of experience in the field. I have obtained over a dozen international certifications including the ISC2 CC, CISP, CCSP and CISA. I am glad to share my knowledge and experience with you guys through these videos. In this video, we will be tackling about 50 practice questions of the ISC2 CC certification. So grab your notes and let's break down these questions to help you on your certification journey. Don't forget to like, subscribe and hit that notification bell for more content like this. So gear up and let's dive into the success. Question number 1. Which concept describes an information security strategy that integrates people, technology, and operations in order to establish security controls across multiple layers of the organization? And the options are option A, least privilege, option B, defense in depth, option C, separation of duties, and option D, privileged accounts. And the correct option is option B, defense in depth. So what is defense in depth? If we look at this picture, defense in depth means that applying security control at all these layers. So if we roughly divide the organization security into multiple layers, from the leading from the policies, then the physical security control, leading to the facility or your data center, then the network security control, and inside the network you have the actual devices, servers or computers, then the application running on those computers, and at the innermost layer we have the device, or you can also say the data, which is the most precious commodity of all. So applying security controls at all these layers means defense in depth. What does this mean? That if one layer is compromised, let's suppose if physical layer is compromised, you have still security controls applied at these other layers. If network is compromised, you have still security control applied on your actual server or computer, and so on and so forth. So that means defense in depth. You are not relying on any one solution or any one particular layer. Rather than you have applied your security controls across multiple layers. Let me bring up the explanation. So this is the explanation. Defense in depth is an information security strategy that integrates people, technology, and operations to implement multiple layers of security controls within an organization. This approach ensures that if one layer of defense is compromised, additional layers continue to provide protection, thereby reducing the overall risk of an incident. It combines various security measures across different layers, including physical, technical, and administrative controls. Let's move forward to question number 2. Which of the following is not an ethical canon of the ISC2? So ISC2 has basically ethical canons. There are basically 4 canons. So which of these is not a canon out of these 4? And the options are option A, advance and protect the profession. Option B, protect the society, the common good, necessary public trust and confidence, and the infrastructure. Option C, act honorably, honestly, justly, responsibly, and legally. And option D, provide active and qualified service to the principals. And the correct option is option D. So the option D is basically not one of the ISC2 canons, and that is provide active and qualified service to the principals. And the explanation is, so the ISC square, now known as ISC2 Code of Ethics, includes the following 4 canons. So these canons are very important you should learn these canons. Their order is also important, and you may encounter question inside your certification exam. Inside this certification, the CC, as well as other certifications such as CISP, CCSP, etc. So the first one is protect society, the common good, necessary public trust and confidence, and the infrastructure. The second is act honorably, honestly, justly, responsibly, and legally. Third one is provide diligent and competent service to principals. And the last and the fourth one is advance and protect the profession. So the provide active and qualified service to the principle that was given in the question is basically not one of the ethical canons, as the correct phrasing is provide diligent and competent service to principals. Question number 3. The cloud deployment model where a company has resources on premise and in the cloud is known as. So when a company has resources both inside their on premise data center and inside the cloud, then this model is known as, and the options are option A, hybrid cloud, option B, multi tenant, option C, private cloud, and option D, community cloud. And the correct option is option A, hybrid cloud. So what is a hybrid cloud? So hybrid cloud is basically the combination of two or more of these cloud models. So if you, in this particular case, if you have the public cloud as well as your on-premises traditional infrastructure, then the combination of both these will be known as the hybrid cloud. Similarly, if you have your private cloud as well as the public cloud, then this combination can also be called as the private cloud. Similarly, the combination of all these three is also known as the hybrid cloud. So I hope you got the answer that the hybrid cloud is basically a combination of public cloud as well as any other cloud type, such as the private cloud or the community cloud, or in this case the on-premises infrastructure. So in a hybrid cloud deployment model, a company utilizes both on-premise resources and cloud resources. This model allows organizations to store sensitive data on premises while leveraging the scalability and flexibility of the cloud for other workloads. Question number 4. Which of the following is a public IP address? So public IP address is the one that is routable over the internet and accessible from the internet or over the public network. And the options are option A, 13.16.123.1, option B, 192.168.123.1, option C, 172.16.123.1, and option D, 10.221.123.1. And the correct option is, so the option A, IP address, that is 13.16.123.1, is basically a public IP address, and this makes the all other three options, these are then private IP addresses. So we have basically two types of IP addresses. One is private and the other is public. So public is one that is routable over the internet, and private addresses are those that are used inside your private network and not routed over the internet. Let me get the explanation. So public IP addresses are routable on the internet, while private IP addresses are reserved for internal network use. The ranges for private IP addresses are, so these are three ranges for private IP addresses: 10.00 to 10.255.255.255.255. This can also be written as such, 10/8. Then 172.16.00 to 172.31.255.255. This can also be written as slash. Well, if you don't know these notation, don't worry. And the third one is 192.168.00 to 192.168.255.255. So this one can be written in the CIDR notation, that is classless interdomain routing. This notation is also known as the CIDR/16. You can also write 0.0.0 as I have written over here, and as well as or you can simply write the digits and then you can omit the 00 and write the /16. So as you can see that only 13.16.123.1 falls outside of these ranges, making it a public IP address. So since 13 is out of these ranges, so that's why this is the only public IP address. Question number 5. Which device would be more effective in detecting an intrusion into a network? And the options are option A, routers, option B, HIDS, that is host-based intrusion detection system, option C, firewalls, and option D, NIDS, network intrusion detection system. And the correct option is NIDS, network-based intrusion detection system. So HIDS is also an intrusion detection system, but it is more suited or specialized toward a specific host. Here we are talking about intrusion inside a network. That's why NIDS or network-based intrusion detection system is the correct answer. So a network intrusion detection system, that is NIDS, is designed to monitor network traffic for suspicious activity and potential intrusions. It is positioned within the network to detect malicious or abnormal behavior by analyzing packet data as it flows across the network. And the other options are the router basically primarily direct traffic and may have basic security features but are not designed specifically for intrusion detection. Similarly, HIDS, host-based intrusion detection system, monitors activity on individual hosts rather than across the network. And firewalls control and filter traffic but do not typically provide the same level of detection for suspicious activity as NIDS does. Question number 6. Which access control is more effective at protecting a door against unauthorized access? We are talking about physically securing an access to a door. And the options are option A, fences, option B, turnstiles, option C, barriers, and option D, locks. So this is a very common sense question, and the correct option is locks. So you secure the door by locking it using locks. So locks are specifically designed to secure doors and are more effective at preventing unauthorized access directly to the door itself. They provide a direct access control mechanism by requiring a key, code, or other form of authentication to unlock the door. Fences and barriers are useful for perimeter security but do not protect the door directly. And turnstiles control human traffic flow but are more suited to entry points rather than securing a door itself. Question number 7. Which of the following is a detection control? So there are multiple types of control. One is detection. Similarly, there are preventive control, and there are physical control, there are technical control. Here we are talking about a detection control that detect an intrusion. And the options are option A, turnstiles, option B, smoke detectors, option C, bollards, and option D, firewalls. And the correct option is, of course, the option B, smoke detectors or smoke sensors, because they are used to detect the presence of smoke or fire. So smoke sensors are a type of detection control as they detect the presence of smoke, which could indicate a fire and trigger an alert. Detection controls are designed to identify and alert to potential issues or unauthorized activities. Turnstiles and bollards are physical controls used primarily for access control and traffic management. While firewalls are preventive controls that block unauthorized access but are not specifically designed to detect events, though some firewall may have detection capabilities when integrated with intrusion detection systems. Question number 8. Which type of attack has the primary objective of controlling the system from outside? And the options are option A, backdoors, option B, rootkits, option C, cross-site scripting, and option D, Trojans. And the correct option is option A, backdoors. So what are the backdoors? A backdoor is a type of attack or method that allows unauthorized access to a system with the primary objective of enabling an attacker to control the system remotely. Backdoors are often installed to bypass normal authentication or access mechanisms, allowing attackers to re-enter the system whenever they want without detection. Rootkits are designed to hide malicious activity or software on the system, often making other attacks like backdoors hard to detect, but control is not always their primary objective. Cross-site scripting is primarily a client-side attack aimed at executing scripts in a user's browser, not controlling a system. And Trojans can provide backdoor access but often disguise themselves as legitimate software, and their primary objective vary depending on the specific type. Question number 9. Which of the following is not a protocol of the OSI layer 3? So in the OSI we have 7 layers. So which of these protocol does not belong to layer 3 of the OSI model? The options are option A, SNMP, option B, ICMP, option C, IGMP, and option D, IP. And the correct option is SNMP, Simple Network Management Protocol, while the rest, ICMP, IGMP, and IP, they are all layer 3 protocols. So SNMP, Simple Network Management Protocol, operates at the application layer, that is layer 7 of the OSI model, not at layer 3. ICMP, that is Internet Control Message Protocol, IGMP, that is Internet Group Management Protocol, and IP, that is Internet Protocol, all operate at layer 3, also known as network layer. They are used for network communication, error reporting, and managing network devices. Question number 10. When a company hires an insurance company to mitigate risk, which risk management technique is being applied? And the options are option A, risk avoidance, option B, risk transfer, option C, risk mitigation, and option D, risk tolerance. And the correct option is option B, risk transfer. So when you buy insurance to mitigate risk, it is the type of risk transfer technique. Explanation is, so risk transfer is the technique of shifting the responsibility for a risk to a third party, such as by purchasing insurance. In this case, the company hires an insurance company to assume the financial responsibility if a specific risk occurs, thereby transferring the risk away from the company. Question number 11. The SMTP protocol, that is Simple Mail Transfer Protocol, operates at which OSI layer? And the options are option A, 7, option B, 25, option C, 3, and option D, 23. So the option B and option D, they are of course not the correct option, because there are total 7 layers ranging from 1 to 7. So we are left with these two options. And the correct option is that the SMTP, Simple Mail Transfer Protocol, operate at layer 7. So the Simple Mail Transfer Protocol SMTP operates at the application layer, which is OSI layer 7. This layer is responsible for application level interaction and is the highest layer in the OSI model, where protocols for email, file transfer, and network management reside. So another bonus point, the SMTP works at which transport layer port? Port number 25. So SMTP works at TCP port number 25. Question number 12. The process of verifying or proving the user's identification is known as, and the options are option A, confidentiality, option B, integrity, option C, authentication, and option D, authorization. So proving the user's identity, this process is known as authentication. So when a user logs in using his or her username and password, this process is basically known as authentication. So authentication is the process of verifying or proving the identity of a user or system. It ensures that the person or entity attempting to access a system is who they claim to be. This is a key part of security, distinguishing it from confidentiality, that is protecting data from unauthorized access, integrity, that is ensuring data remains accurate and unaltered, and authorization, determining access levels for an authenticated user. Question number 13. If an organization wants to protect itself against tailgating, which of the following types of access control would be most effective? So, tailgating is when an legitimate user enters a facility and another illegitimate user follows him or her. This process is known as tailgating. So, how to prevent this? And the options are option A, locks, option B, fences, option C, barriers, and option D, turnstiles. And the correct option is option D, turnstiles. So this is how turnstiles works. These are basically the turnstiles. So the user must have some form of access mechanism. He or she must have a smart card, or if there are biometric authentication used on the turnstile, he or she must authenticate himself or herself to enter this facility through these turnstiles. And once the user enters, another user walking behind, he or she again must also authenticate herself through this access mechanism by either through the biometric or through the smart card to enter the facility. So turnstiles are a physical access control mechanism. Let me get back. Designed to allow only one person to pass through at a time, making them effective against tailgating. Tailgating occurs when an unauthorized person follows an authorized person into a secure area without proper authentication. While locks, fences, and barriers can restrict access, they do not control single person entry as effective as turnstiles do. Question number 14. Logging and monitoring systems are essential to, and the options are option A, identifying inefficient performing systems, preventing compromises, and providing a record of how systems are used. Option B, identifying efficient performing systems, labeling compromises, and providing a record of how systems are used. Option C, identifying inefficient performing system, detecting compromises, and providing a record of how systems are used. And option D, identifying efficient performing system, detecting compromises, and providing a record of how systems are used. And the correct option is that the logging and monitoring system are essential to identify inefficient performing system, detecting compromises, and providing a record of how systems are used. So logging and monitoring systems are crucial for identifying performance issues, detecting potential security compromises, and providing a detailed record of system usage. They help organizations maintain operational efficiency, enhance security by detecting unusual activities, and ensure compliance by keeping a record of events for auditing purposes. Question number 15. In the event of a disaster, which of these should be the primary objective? Options are option A, guarantee the safety of the people. Option B, guarantee the continuity of critical systems. Option C, protection of the production database. And option D, replication of disaster communication. And the correct option is, so always remember, the safety of the people is the most important task and primary objective in the event of a disaster. So, in any disaster scenario, the primary objective should always be the safety of people while ensuring continuity of critical systems, protecting data, and effective communications are important. They come after prioritizing human safety. This principle is foundational in disaster recovery and business continuity planning. Question number 16. The process that ensures that system changes do not adversely impact business operation is known as, and the options are option A, change management, option B, vulnerability management, option C, configuration management, and option D, inventory management. And the correct option is option A, change management. So what is change management? So change management is the process designed to ensure that any changes to a system, such as updates, upgrades, or configuration changes, do not negatively affect business operations. It includes assessing, authorizing, and documenting changes to reduce risk and ensure stability. In contrast, vulnerability management focuses on identifying and addressing security weaknesses. Configuration management maintains system configuration, and inventory management involves tracking assets. Question number 17. The last phase in the data security cycle is known as, options are option A, encryption, option B, backup, option C, archival, and option D, destruction. And the correct option is option D, destruction. So the final phase in the data security cycle is destruction. After data has served its purpose, it is securely destroyed to prevent unauthorized access or recovery. This phase ensures that sensitive information is no longer accessible or retrievable, completing the data life cycle. Encryption, backup, and archival are important steps for protecting data but occur earlier in the data management and security cycle. Question number 18. Which access control model specifies access to an object based on the subject's role in the organization? And the options are option A, RBAC, that is role-based access control. Option B, MAC, mandatory access control. Option C, DAC, discretionary access control. And option D, ABAC, that is attribute-based access control. And the correct option is option A, role-based access control. So role-based access control, RBAC, specifies access to resources, that is objects, based on a user's role within an organization. In this model, permissions are assigned to roles rather than individuals, and users are granted permission based on their role, simplifying access management in large organizations. MAC, that is mandatory access control, enforces access based on security labels, while DAC, that is discretionary access control, allows data owners to control access, and ABAC, that is attribute-based access control, grants access based on attributes of subjects, objects, and environmental conditions. Question number 19. Which of the following is not an example of a physical control? So out of these Three are physical control, one is not. So which one is this? And the options are option A, firewalls, option B, biometric access control, option C, remote control electronic locks, and option D, security cameras. And the correct option is, so firewalls are not example of physical control, rather they are logical or technical security controls. So firewall are not physical security control, they are a network security control used to monitor and filter incoming and outgoing network traffic. Biometric access controls, remote control electronic locks, and security cameras are example of physical security controls as they physically restrict or monitor access to secure areas. Question number 20. Which type of attack will most effectively maintain remote access and control over the victim's computer? And the options are option A, Trojans, option B, phishing, option C, cross-site scripting, and option D, rootkits. We are talking about maintaining the remote access control over the victim's computer, and the correct option is option D, rootkits. So rootkits are designed to provide persistent code access and control over the victim's computer by hiding their presence from standard detection methods. They embed themselves deep within the operating system, making them difficult to detect and remove. While Trojans can provide remote access, they are more easily detected and removed compared to rootkits. Phishing is a technique to steal information rather than maintain control, and cross-site scripting targets web applications rather than providing control over a victim's computer. Question number 21. In incident terminology, the meaning of 0-day is, and the options are option A, days to solve a previously unknown system vulnerability. Option B, a previously unknown system vulnerability. Option C, days without a cybersecurity incident. And option D, days with a cybersecurity incident. And the correct option is, so the 0-day vulnerability means a previously unknown system vulnerability. A 0-day refers to a previously unknown system vulnerability that is exploited by attackers before the software vendor has had the chance to address it with a patch or fix. The term 0-day indicates that the vulnerability is exploited on the first day it is discovered with no prior knowledge or mitigation available. Question number 22. A device found not to comply with the security baseline should be option A, disabled or separated into a quarantine area until a virus scan can be run. Option B, disabled or isolated into a quarantine area until it can be checked and updated. Option C, placed in a demilitarized zone until it can be reviewed and updated. And option D, marked as potentially vulnerable and placed in a quarantine area. And the correct option is that the device should be disabled or isolated into a quarantine area until it can be checked and updated. So if a device does not comply with the security baseline, it should be isolated or placed into a quarantine area to prevent it from introducing risks to the network. It should then be checked, updated, and brought into compliance with the security baseline before being allowed full access to the network again. Option A could apply if there is a specific concern like a virus, but B is the most comprehensive answer for ensuring security compliance. Question number 23. Which type of attack primarily aims to make a resource inaccessible to its intended users? And the options are option A, denial of service, option B, phishing, option C, Trojans, and option D, cross-site scripting. And the correct option is option A, denial of service. So what is denial of service? A denial of service attack primarily aims to make a resource such as a server, website, or network inaccessible to its intended users by overwhelming it with excessive traffic or exploiting vulnerabilities to disrupt normal service. This attack's main goal is service disruption. Phishing involves tricking users into disclosing sensitive information. Trojans are malicious software that provide unauthorized access to systems, and cross-site scripting is an attack that injects malicious scripts into web pages to execute on users' browsers, often aimed at stealing information rather than denying access. Question number 24. Which type of attack embeds malicious payload inside a reputable or trusted software? Option A, Trojans. Option B, phishing. Option C, rootkits. And option D, cross-site scripting. And the correct option is option A, Trojan horse. So what is Trojan? So Trojan are malicious programs that disguise themselves as legitimate or trusted software, often embedding a malicious payload within the trusted software. Once executed, they can perform harmful actions such as granting unauthorized access to a system or stealing data. Unlike viruses, Trojans do not self-replicate. Phishing involves tricking users into revealing sensitive information, typically through deceptive emails or websites. Rootkits are designed to hide the presence of malicious activity or software in a system. And cross-site scripting involves injecting malicious scripts into web applications targeting users' browsers rather than embedding payloads inside software. Question number 25. Which tool is commonly used to sniff network traffic? And the options are option A, Burp Suite, option B, John the Ripper, option C, Wireshark, and option D, NS Lookup. And the correct option is option C, Wireshark. So, what is Wireshark? Wireshark is a widely used network protocol analyzer or packet sniffer that captures and inspects network traffic in real time. It allows users to analyze network communication, troubleshoot network issues, and detect suspicious activity. While the other option, such as Burp Suite, is a security testing tool primarily used for web application security assessments, not for sniffing network traffic. John the Ripper is a password cracking tool used for security auditing. And NSLOOKUP is a command line tool used to query DNS records, not for sniffing network traffic. Question number 26. Which of these is not an attack against an IP network? And the options are option A, side channel attack, option B, man in the middle attack, option C, fragmented packet attack, and option D, oversized packet attack. And the correct option is, so the side channel attack is basically not against an IP network. So what is a side channel attack? A side channel attack is a type of attack that does not directly target the IP network itself. Instead, it exploits physical or environmental factors such as power consumption, timing, or electromagnetic leaks to gather information from a system, often aiming to break encryption or extract secrets from a device. Question number 27. The detailed steps to complete tasks supporting departmental or organizational policies are typically documented in option A, regulations, option B, standards, option C, policies, and option D, procedures. And the correct option is option D, procedures. So procedures are detailed step-by-step instructions that outline how specific tasks or activities should be carried out to support the implementation of policies and standards. They provide clarity on the exact actions required to meet organizational or departmental objectives. The other options, such as regulations, are legal requirements that must be followed. Standard defines specific requirements or benchmarks that must be met but don't typically include detailed step-by-step instructions. And policies are high-level principles or rules that guide decision-making and behavior within an organization. Question number 28. Which device is used to connect a LAN to the internet? So LAN is the local area network. How you connect the local area network to the internet? Which device is used to connect local area network to the internet? Option A, SIEM, that is Security, Information and Event Management. Option B, HIDS, that is Host-Based Intrusion Detection System. Option C, Router. And option D, Firewall. And the correct option is option C, router. So typically router is used to connect the LAN or your private network to the internet because you need routing, and routing is done through router to connect to different networks. So a router is used to connect a local area network LAN to the internet. It routes data packets between the local network and external networks such as the internet, and typically assigns IP addresses to devices on the LAN. The other options, including the SIEM, security information and event management, is a tool used to collect and analyze security data from across an organization's systems, not for connecting networks. HIDS, that is Host Intrusion Detection System, monitors and protects individual devices from malicious activity, not from network connectivity. And firewall is used to control and monitor incoming and outgoing network traffic based on security rules, but it does not directly connect a LAN to the internet. A router usually works in conjunction with a firewall to secure the network. Question number 29. What does SIEM means? What does SIEM stands for? In the options are option A, Security Information and Enterprise Manager. Option B, Security Information and Event Manager. Option C, Security Information and Enterprise Manager. And option D, Security Information and Event Manager. So in fact, we have two options. The two options are basically repeated. So the correct option is option B, Security Information and Event Manager. So SIEM stands for Security Information and Event Manager. It is a system that collects, analyzes, and reports on security data from various sources within an organization to detect and respond to potential security threats. SIEM systems are used to provide real-time monitoring, logging, and event management to enhance security posture. Question number 30. A security safeguard is the same as a, and the options are option A, safety control, option B, privacy control, option C, security control, and option D, security principle. And the correct option is option C, security control. So a security safeguard refers to measures or controls implemented to protect information systems, data, and assets from security threats. It is synonymous with a security control, which refers to any mechanism or practice designed to mitigate security risks and protect the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of systems and data. Question number 31. Which access control model can grant access to a given object based on complex rules? Option A, DAC, discretionary access control. Option B, ABAC, that is attribute-based access control. Option C, RBAC, that is role-based access control. And option D, MAC, that is mandatory access control. And the correct option is option B, attribute-based access control. So the complex rules here, you can say it means or it refers to the attributes, where you can use different attributes and rules to give access. So ABAC, that is attribute based access control, grants access to a given object based on complex rules that evaluates attributes associated with users, objects on the environment. These rules can include attributes like roles, locations, time of access, or other environmental factors, allowing for very granular and dynamic access control. Other options such as DAG, discretionary access control, allows the owner of the object to decide who can access it, usually with simple permissions. RBAC, that is role-based access control, grants access based on the user's role within the organization, typically limiting it to predefined roles and permissions. And MAC, mandatory access control, enforces access based on security labels and policies, usually in highly secure environments like military or government systems. Question number 32. Which port is used to secure communication over the web? That is HTTPS. So, which port is used by HTTPS? The options are option A 69, option B 80, option C 25, and option D 443. And the correct option is, so the HTTPS uses port number 443, but the port 80 is the used by HTTP, which is the unsecure counterpart of the HTTP. Port 25 is used for SMTP, Simple Mail Transfer Protocol, and 69 is, I think, used for TFTP, Trivial File Transfer Protocol. So port 443 is used for secure communication over the web using HTTPS, that is Hypertext Transfer Protocol Secure. It encrypts data exchange between a web server and between a web browser and a server using protocols like SSL/TLS to ensure confidentiality and integrity. Port 80 is used for unencrypted HTTP communication. Port 69 is used for TFTP, that is Trivial File Transfer Protocol, and port 25 is used for SMTP, that is Simple Mail Transfer Protocol, for sending emails. Question number 33. Which of these has the primary objective of identifying and prioritizing critical business processes? Option A, business impact analysis. Option B, business impact analysis. Option A, business impact plan, and option B, business impact analysis. Option C, disaster recovery plan, and option D, business continuity plan. And the correct option is business impact analysis. So what is business impact analysis? A business impact analysis has the primary objective of identifying and prioritizing critical business processes. It assesses the potential impact of disruptions to those processes and helps organizations determine the necessary resources and recovery strategies to maintain essential functions during a disaster or outage. While the other options, such as business impact plan, is not a standard term in business continuity or disaster recovery planning. Disaster Recovery Plan, or DRP, focuses on recovering IT systems and data after a disaster, not directly identifying critical business processes. And Business Continuity Plan, BCP, is a broader plan that includes strategies for maintaining essential business operations during and after a disruption, but the BIA is typically the first step in developing a BCP. Question number 34. Which of the following are not types of security control? And the options are option A, common control, option B, hybrid control, option C, system specific control, and option D, storage control. And the correct option is Option D, storage control. So the recognized types of security controls are common controls. So these are security controls that apply across multiple system or organizational units. Similarly, hybrid control, these are controls that combine aspects of both common and system-specific control. While system-specific control, these controls are tailored to a specific system or environment. Storage controls is not a standard category of security controls. While storage security is important and may involve various controls like encryption or access restriction, it is not typically classified as a specific type of security control. Question number 35. Which of the following is not a type of learning activity used in security awareness? Option A, awareness. Option B, training. Option C, education. And option D, tutorial. And the correct option is option D, tutorial. So in the context of security awareness, the three primary types of learning activities are awareness, activities aimed at making employees or users aware of security risks and best practices. This often involves brief, high-level materials such as posters or short presentations. Training, more in-depth learning activities that provide users with the knowledge and skills needed to handle specific security-related tasks or procedures. And education, this focuses on a deeper long-term understanding of security concepts, often provided through formal courses or classes. A tutorial is a specific method or format for delivering learning content, but it is not typically characterized as a primary type of learning activity in a security awareness program. It could be part of training or education, but it is not a standalone category. Question number 36. The magnitude of the harm expected as a result of the consequences of an unauthorized disclosure, modification, destruction, or loss of information is known as. Options are option A, vulnerability, option B, threat, option C, impact, and option D, likelihood. And the correct option is option C, impact. So impact refers to the magnitude of harm that could result from the unauthorized disclosure, modification, destruction, or loss of information. It is a measure of severity of the consequence if a security incident occurs. The other options, such as vulnerability, refers to weakness in a system that could be exploited by threats. Threat refers to potential events or actors that could exploit vulnerabilities to cause harm. And likelihood refers to the probability of a threat exploiting a vulnerability leading to an impact. Question number 37. The implementation of security controls is a form of option A, risk reduction, option B, risk acceptance, option C, risk avoidance, and option D, risk transference. And the correct option is option A, risk reduction. So the implementation of security controls is a form of risk reduction as it helps to mitigate or lessen the likelihood and impact of potential security threats. By putting security measures in place, an organization reduces its exposure to risks. Risk acceptance is when an organization decides to accept the risk without implementing additional controls or mitigations. Risk avoidance involves taking actions to eliminate or avoid the risk entirely. And risk transference refers to shifting the risk to a third party, such as through insurance or outsourcing. Question number 38. Which of the following attack take advantage of poor input validation in websites? Option A, Trojans. Option B, cross-site scripting. Option C, phishing. And option D, rootkits. And the correct option is Option B, cross-site scripting. So what is cross-site scripting? Cross-site scripting is an attack that takes advantage of poor input validation in websites. It involves injecting malicious scripts into web pages viewed by other users. These scripts can execute actions on behalf of the user or steal sensitive information like session cookies. Trojans are a type of malware that disguises themselves as legitimate software. Phishing is a social engineering attack that tricks individuals into divulging personal information or credentials. And rootkits are malicious software designed to hide the existence of certain processes or programs on a computer system. Question number 39. Which of the following is an example of an administrative security control? Options are option A, access control list, option B, acceptable use policies, option C, badge readers, and option D, no entry signs. And the correct option is option B, acceptable use policies. So acceptable use policies are an example of administrative security controls. These are written policies that define the acceptable and prohibited behavior for users within an organization's IT environment. Administrative controls are typically non-technical and involve management processes, procedures, and policies to govern security practices. Access control list, that is ACL, are technical control that define permissions for accessing resources in a system. Badge readers and no entry signs are example of physical security controls used to restrict access to physical spaces. Question number 40. In change management, which component address the procedures needed to undo changes? Options are option A, request for approval, option B, request for change, option C, rollback, and option D, disaster and recover. And the correct option is option C, rollback. So in change management, a rollback is the component that addresses the procedures needed to undo changes. It defines how to revert a system or process to its previous states if the implemented changes cause issue or failures. Request for approval is part of the process where changes are reviewed and authorized. Request for change is the formal document submitted to propose a change, and disaster and recovery is not directly related to undoing specific changes but refers to the broader processes for recovering from significant disruptions. Question number 41. Which of the following properties is not guaranteed by digital signatures? Option A, authentication. Option B, confidentiality. Option C, non-repudiation. And option D, integrity. And the correct option is option B, confidentiality. So digital signature can provide us with the authentication, non-repudiation, and integrity, but not confidentiality. What is a digital signature? Digital signatures provide authentication, integrity, and non-repudiation. They allow the recipient to verify the sender's identity, confirm the message has not been altered, and ensure the sender cannot deny having sent the message. However, digital signature do not guarantee confidentiality that requires encryption. Question number 42. Which devices have the primary objective of collecting and analyzing security events? And the options are option A, hubs, option B, firewalls, option C, router, and option D, SIEM, that is security information and event management. So by now you must know the answer if you have gone through the previous questions, and the correct option is option D, SIEM, that is security information and event management. So these systems are specifically designed to collect, analyze, and correlate security events from various sources across a network. Unlike hubs, firewalls, or routers, the primary objective of a SIEM is to provide comprehensive security monitoring and analysis, enabling better threat detection and response. Question number 43. What is an effective way of hardening a system? And the options are option A, patch the system. Option B, have an IDS in place. IDS is intrusion detection system. Option C, run a vulnerability scan. And option D, create a DMZ for web application services. And the correct option is option A, patch the system. So, patching a system is a fundamental and effective way of hardening it. Applying patches addresses known vulnerabilities, reducing the risk of exploitation, while having an IDS, running vulnerability scan, and creating a DMZ are also valuable security measures. They are not directly methods for hardening a specific system, but rather for detecting issues or adding network level security. Question number 44. Which type of key can be used to both encrypt and decrypt the same message? And the options are option A, a public key, option B, a private key, option C, an asymmetric key, and option D, a symmetric key. And the correct option is option D, a symmetric key. So the symmetric key is basically used to both encrypt and decrypt a message. Asymmetric key is basically the pair of the public and private key. So if you encrypt the message with one key, you will decrypt it with the second key. So the explanation is that in symmetric encryption, the same key is used to both encrypt and decrypt a message. This type of key is shared between the sender and the receiver. In contrast, asymmetric encryption uses a key pair, that is public and private keys, where one key is used for encryption and the other for decryption. Question number 45. Which regulations address data protection and privacy in Europe? So we are talking specifically about data privacy and protection inside Europe. And the options are option A, SOX, option B, HIPAA, option C, FISMA, and option D, GDPR. And the correct option is option D, GDPR. So what is GDPR? GDPR is the General Data Protection Regulation, is a regulation in Europe that focuses on data protection and privacy for individuals within the European Union. It sets strict guidelines for how personal data must be collected, processed, and stored, with an emphasis on protecting individuals' privacy. SOX, HIPAA, and FISMA are other regulatory frameworks but pertain to financial reporting, healthcare data protection, and federal information securities, respectively, not specifically to general data protection and privacy in Europe. So these laws are basically applicable in USA. HIPAA is for healthcare, or PHI, that is patients healthcare information. SOX is for financial information protection, and FISMA is Federal Information Security Management Act. So while the GDPR is the only regulation that is applied inside Europe for their citizen data protection and privacy. Question number 46. Which of the following types of devices inspect packet header information to either allow or deny network traffic? And the options are option A, hubs, option B, firewalls, option C, router, and option D, switches. So these all are network devices and each have a specific purpose. So which device out of these is used to inspect packet header and either allow or deny network traffic? And the correct option is option B, firewall. So firewall is a security device that is used to control network traffic, either to allow or deny network traffic inside your organization. So firewalls inspect packet header information to determine whether to allow or deny network traffic based on predefined security rules. They act as a barrier between networks and can filter traffic based on IP addresses, ports, protocols, and other header information. While routers can direct traffic and switches forward data within a network, only firewalls are specifically designed to inspect packets for security purposes. Hubs, on the other hand, do not inspect packets at all. They simply broadcast traffic to all connected devices. Question number 47. A web server that accepts requests from external clients should be placed in which network? The options are option A, intranet, option B, DMZ, option C, internal network, and option D, VPN. And the correct option is option B, DMZ, that is demilitarized zone. So a DMZ or demilitarized zone is a separate network segment that provides an extra layer of security for publicly accessible services like a web browser, like a web server, by isolating it from the internal network. Placing the web server in DMZ allows external clients to access it without giving them direct access to the internal network. An intranet and internal network are intended for internal user only, while a VPN is typically used for secure remote access rather than hosting public services. Question number 48. How many data labels are considered good practice? And options are option A 2 to 3, option B 1, option C 1 to 2, and option D greater than 4. And the correct option is option A 2 to 3. So as a good practice, having 2 to 3 data labels provides a balance between simplicity and effective data classification. This approach helps users understand and apply labels accurately without being overwhelmed, while still allowing adequate differentiation between data sensitivity levels. Fewer labels might not capture necessary distinction, and too many labels can create confusion and inconsistencies in data handling. Question number 49. Security posters are an element primarily implied in and the options are option A, security awareness, option B, incident response plans, option C, business continuity plans, and option D, physical security controls. And the correct option is option A, security awareness. So security posters are primarily used as part of a security awareness program to educate and remind employees of security policies, best practices, and potential risks. These visual aids are designed to promote a security conscious culture within an organization. While they may support other security measures indirectly, their main purpose is to raise awareness rather than directly contribute to incident response, business continuity, or physical security controls. Question number 50. Which of these types of user is less likely to have a privileged account? Option A, security system administrator, option B, security analyst, option C, help desk, and option D, external worker. And the correct option is option D, external worker. So external workers such as contractors or temporary staff are less likely to have privileged accounts because they typically have limited access to systems and resources necessary for their job role. Privileged accounts are generally reserved for users like system administrators who require elevated access to manage and maintain systems, or security analysts and helpdesk staff who may need certain levels of access for troubleshooting or monitoring. However, external workers usually only have access to specific systems or data based on the scope of their contracted tasks. So that's all for this video. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and stay tuned for the next videos on the Certified in Cybersecurity certification. Thank you and see you soon.